I don't want overs. I just expect them to happen.
Fatty's gonna fatty is real.
Oh, give me fucking truth, baby. Come on.
Welcome to another edition of the MMA Analysis podcast. I'm back. I think it's only been like 2 weeks, 3 weeks that I haven't been here, but it feels like a long time. But it feels like I haven't missed anything at all. So that is the positive to being away and MMA cards being shitty right now, UFC cards being shitty, is you can go away for 3 weeks and you don't really miss anything. Last fight I watched was Izzy and Pereira, and that was pretty awesome. But the MMA Analysis is back. We are still brought to you by the Hammer Betting Network. I know Shaun, the butt cheeks were clenched to make sure that I was going to get that in. You got to get the plug for the corporate sugar daddies in, or they cut off the flow. Shaun, how you doing?
Good. We jinxed it. Lance and I jinxed it last week on the podcast, or 2 weeks ago, I guess. We're just like, yep, got to get through one last shitty card, and then we got pretty good cards to end the year. And then, of course, we know what's happened to the card a couple weeks from now. But, yeah. This week's actually decent for a Fight Night card. I know the main event is, I don't know. I don't think most people are into it. Some people are probably into it. It should be interesting. But at least we got some decent names throughout the card. So it's not just a bunch of complete unknowns. So we'll take that at this point, sadly.
And it's a good thing we don't have a breakdown from 2 weeks ago, because there's 15 fights on this card, so you don't need to listen to all that. Wesley, I see you're kicking it in the smoky opium den down there. How are things going?
I'm doing good, man. Enjoyed the holiday. Finally got around a big group of family again, and had the big spread like we used to do.
There you go.
Past couple of years of, bunch of bullshit going on. So
was this the first time for like little dude to get with all the family?
Yeah, like the big family. Like we kind of
Nice.
did a little Christmas last year with just his grandpa and shit like that. But yeah, I took him around the 30, 40 people Thanksgiving crowd this year. And yeah,
Cool.
He's a terror. Don't leave your drink laying around, because it's a hand is going in it. Yeah, it was fun. It's a good time. Yeah, good to get around people, even though some of them they're out there and they're not on the same wavelength on some things as I am, being around the state that I'm from. But we kind of let it all go to break bread and drink.
Have a good time.
Drink good drinks.
You hang out with too many Canadians, man. That's your problem. We're pulling you. We're pulling you to the left.
That socialism's just flowing into you, Wesley. The communism and all that.
I mean, I got the soul of Bernie Sanders over here or some shit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but yeah, good.
The soul of Bernie Sanders and the accent of Colonel Sanders. That's our Wesley.
There it is.
There you go. You don't run around. Well, there's a few of us.
We appreciate you. Speaking of socialism, Shaun, I was out on Vancouver Island. That seems like your kind of crowd. There's hippie galore out there. I brought back some weird beers that they have.
Yep.
A kelp stout, which is like the most West Coast thing that could possibly exist. It's not terrible.
They might even be a bit too crunchy even for me out there in certain places. So,
it's interesting.
It's a good time out there.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Anyway, let's get into UFC. What are they calling this? UFC Tampa or something? Orlando, something like that. I don't know. It's in an actual city and like in an actual arena with a big size cage, and there's going to be people there. So I don't know about you guys, but like the Apex was nice when we were in the middle of a pandemic, but cards in front of people are better. I don't really need to hear the corners yelling at guys. It's nice to hear some people scream and even when they boo, when the fights are shitty, that's better than Dominic Cruz and DC yapping the whole time.
Yeah, I think we talked about it a bit, how UFC getting out of the Apex forces them to put on somewhat legit cards, and instead of just mailing it at the Apex where they'll put like one good fight. So I think that helps us here, and sounds like they're gonna do a decent amount more of getting out of the Apex next year. So hopefully that's good news for us fans.
I mean, there's only so many good cards they can do in a year at this point, but yeah, they'll figure it out. Anyway, let's get into the first fight, because this one's really gonna bring the people out. Women's strawweight division. Yasmin Jauregui, I don't know, Uruguay, against Estela Nunes. Yeah, Shaun, bring it home.
Starting off with an absolute banger. I don't have anything here. So Toutmaster, the code that Jerry wrote for Toutmaster limits it to only 14 fights, and he actually had to expand that a couple times. In the last couple of years, all of a sudden we've been having these monster cards, and unfortunately now that COVID's kind of a little bit in the past, we're not getting as many late notice cancellations. So I hope there is a fight on this card that gets canceled, so I don't have to eliminate this fight. But I mean, this one gets eliminated anyway, so I guess it's not the worst thing. I'll take the lady who hasn't lost twice to bad fighters in the UFC.
There you go, Wes.
If this ends up on the Toutmaster board, I'll take Nunez as a dog, but nothing on this one.
Yeah, I think this Yasmin was in a fight that you guys said was good, and it was on a main card, but I still never got around to watching it. So I got nothing here. Pass. I will pass on it in Toutmaster, whether it's there or not.
Man of principles.
Yeah. I mean, there's one more where I have to stick to my guns. I set a precedent early in the year, but this one I just hope isn't on there. That would be wonderful for me. Unfortunately, Shaun, I don't think it's going to be COVID if this does get canceled, because they're in Florida. You're not testing for that shit in Florida. Come on.
True.
So somebody better get injured. Anyway, moving on to the featherweight division. We have Francis Marshall. I think he's a Dana White Contender Series guy, taking on Marcelo Rojo. Shaun?
Not much here either. Rojo is not good. I mean, he lost to good guys in the UFC, but he's not good. Is this Marshall guy any good? I don't know. I don't think he's too fraudulent of a Contender Series fighter. I think he's good enough to beat Rojo. Beyond that, I'm not sure. Maybe he shows me something against Rojo. So he's the pick, Marshall.
Wes?
Yeah, I think Marshall's okay. He just had a really boring ass Contender Series win. But Rojo's old and just he's fought some good guys. He's gotten obliterated by those dudes. I think Marshall is good enough to beat Rojo here, but man, do you want to lay juice on a dude that won a shitty decision on Contender Series? We'll see if the line comes down a little more. It is getting a little better in some spots. I think he's going to win this fight. It's not something I want to lay minus 155 on at this point. I'll watch the line, but I think Marshall's just a way better guy. And this is I think a pretty good matchup they're giving him here against a guy that's maybe not a name, but has fought some names, so it'll look good on his resume. Just think it could end up being a close decision win, and it's not something I want to lay juice on.
Yeah, I actually, now that I think about Marshall, I remember him from Dana White Contender Series, because they spent the whole fight trying to convince themselves that the Fire was a hilarious nickname, and that nobody in MMA had ever thought of using Fire is their nickname, with their last name being Marshall. So that's my big memory of him. But I didn't.
That's how good that fight was. That's what they talked about.
I didn't think he sucked though. I thought he was pretty good, and Rojo has a round in him. And if he doesn't put you away in that round, he doesn't have a whole lot past that. And Marshall seemed like he could take some shots and keep coming. So I expect he's either going to win the last 2 rounds or maybe get a late finish, because everybody seems to finish Rojo late. I just wish it was more than plus 800, because that is not high enough for me to bet that prop. Lightweight division, we have one of the people, my people. Not like the Kanye West reference to the people. Different stuff, all right? Fans over here. Natan Levy taking on Genaro Valdez. A lot of Mexican fighters on a card in Atlanta. That's weird.
That was me.
I know.
I was getting some crackling. I had to try to reset here.
We got
Sounds
a little
like
crackle
it's fixed.
too.
So
Yeah.
you got some painful ears stuff, but
Yeah.
it seems to have fixed it. So yeah, not too much here either. I mean, Levy seems like, he's got a decent motor, can grapple. That's probably good enough here. But I don't really want to bet him. It's a close to 2-1 favorite.
Oh, Wesley.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. Another guy that I think is probably a little bit better and has got enough here to win. Probably a pretty shitty decision, and it's just a little too juicy. There's some other chalk spots on the card that I like a whole lot better than these two guys, even though I think they win. It's just something I don't want to lay a kind of price on. I do think Levy's the better guy here. I know Valdez looked decent in his Contender Series win to get into the UFC, but man, then he got smoked by Frivola, who's actually done that to a couple guys here lately. So maybe that's not as bad
as weird as it is.
yeah, no doubt. But yeah, I still think Levy's better. He's going to be the bigger, stronger dude in this fight. Like Shaun said, I think his grappling's good enough. So I like him to win, but it's a price that's a little bit too steep for me.
Yeah, I don't have anything to bet in this one. I think eventually Levy gets takedowns and he should get a sub down there, but don't trust it. Don't really want to bet it. And he might just get cracked in the first 30 seconds. So that's enough to keep me away from a guy that I'm not a huge fan of to begin with. Women's strawweight division. This is the one that they're hoping is going to get the people into their seats during the prelims and kick off like an 11 fight card or 12 fight card, whatever the hell's left at this point. Tracy Cortez taking on Amanda Ribas in the if they didn't fight MMA, still. Shaun?
I like Ribas here. I haven't decided if I'm going to bet her or not. I'm very bad at betting small favorites. So obviously hope that Ribas gets to plus money. I think she was there at some point. But it's basically like I think she's got good enough takedown defense that I don't think Cortez is going to get her down. I think if somebody's going to be on top, it's going to be Ribas. I think she's got decent enough, sub defense from the top that she'll be able to fight off anything Cortez throws up. And Ribas might be a little bit better on the feet. I know she's obviously lost, but she's fought the way tougher competition. Cortez is, she's been scheduled very nicely by the matchmakers, I think. So I think this is going to be a tougher challenge. It's a pick'em. Probably going to end up with a small bet on Ribas.
Wesley.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. I think Ribas is a little better than Cortez everywhere here. I do think she's a little bit better on the feet than Tracy Cortez is, but man, I know Cortez can't fucking smash a fucking grape, but man, there's just something about Rivas that scares me nowadays. That we know she's going to get punched. Like if they're on the feet, she's getting punched in the face, and I don't know, man. I'm still worried about her getting cracked, but I still lean her here. Not enough for me to bet it like Shaun. Maybe if some plus money shows up on her, but I still think this is a really close fight. You're going to be just hoping you can get a couple rounds here, and they're all going to be close. So um, it's going to be a pass, but I might look at something live here, see how the first round goes, and what kind of numbers that those idiots are sitting on a Saturday evening, and when they're not paying attention, maybe we get something stupid. But yeah, I'm going to pick Rebus. Pass on a bet.
I think Rebus as well. As Shaun said, she should have the takedown defense and grappling defense that Cortez can't beat her that way. And if this is on the feet, even though her chin isn't great, she's the much better striker. She's faced better people. Cortez has been competitive in some of her fights against not great competition, which isn't the best sign. So I'll take Hebus in this one, but I'm not sure that I can get to betting it like Shaun as well. Next up, featherweight division. It's the damage. We've got the damage and the danger on the same card.
Top 5 tattoo all time.
Yeah. Darren Elkins taking on JSP. I tried to go against him last time. I jumped off the wagon from my boy. And
we all did. It was a consensus, and it got absolutely slaughtered.
Yeah, I mean, it was an interesting first round, but he just absolutely cooked Amir Khani in that last fight. That was pretty impressive.
He looked good.
Shaun?
Yeah, that questionable Amir Khani cardio showed up in full effect on that fight. Yeah, this should be an interesting fight. Like, I mean, Elkins is pretty washy. He's kind of. I kind of thought he was done after just getting wrecked by Lamas, Ryan Hall, and Nate Landwehr. They gave him some winnable fights. I think he came through a couple times as a dog. He's still in there. He's still fighting. Because I don't know what else that a guy like that's going to do after fighting. So, JSP has looked very questionable in a couple fights. He's got away with it. I think Elkins has got decent enough wrestling defensively, offensively that he can make Pierce work. And then if he works, and maybe they both kind of get a little sloppy and gets tired, and then this becomes a bit of a closer fight. I think that's a pretty wide line that they have on Pierce. So I think I'm going to throw a tiny dart on Elkins. Pierce probably wins, but this doesn't feel like a minus 400, minus 450 kind of fight.
It does not. Wesley?
Yeah, it's definitely a little wide, but I just look. I've bet on Darren Elkins a lot over the years, man. He's made me some money. I can't see it here. I do think he stays in tough though. I think Shaun's right on that. The second and third round is going to get gassy and kind of sloppy and stuff. I just think JSP is going to be able to have the top control a little more and just have the position a little more. I was kind of looking at the over. It's even money right now, 2.5 rounds.
Yep.
I don't see Elkins finishing Pierce. I think if you need Elkins to get there, even his decision is plus 600 or something like that. I think he's going to need to, steal a second and third round over a really gassy JSP. That's how I see it going. But I think it's just going to be the other way around. Close second and third round. I like the over 2.5. It's right around even money, plus 105 out there. I don't hate the Elkins, stab. I mean, the price is just huge. That decision price is kind of crazy. I'll probably end up picking Elkins and Toutmaster because I'm completely out of it. I've just been picking dogs here lately to try to catch up a little bit. I do think Pierce wins this fight, though. I just think that line is kind of stupid.
Yeah, it's a big one. They're tempting me. They're trying.
He steals
But
one every now and then, don't he? Every now and then he comes out of the blue and steals one.
he does. You know, I was thinking about the decision prop as well, and then I looked at his record, and 4 of Elkins' last 6 wins are by stoppage. Darren Elkins. Who would have thought?
Gassing dudes.
He wears them out
and somehow finishing them.
They quit before he does, like straight up.
Yep, and Pierce had a few gassy moments against Christian Rodriguez. Obviously, that turned very hard in the other direction in his last fight against Amir Khani. But I think this is just going to be sloppy and scrambly. Pierce hasn't dropped anyone in his UFC career. He gets on top of guys and controls position and will maybe TKO them with ground and pound, but he doesn't hurt people. And I don't think he's ever going to be able to get Elkins into one of those positions. So I think that the over is a good play here. I don't think that Elkins is going to finish Pierce, who has been finished quite a bit himself. But, I guess not quite a bit. I mean, finished by Lozon. And then early in his career, I think. But, yeah, I think I'm going to have to go with that over and try to avoid the Elkins trap in this one. But Toutmaster certainly going to be taking one on there for the damage. Got to do it for the brand, for the old dudes. And I need every single massive underdog to win in order to have any shot of getting in the money this year. Lightweight division, speaking of old dudes and big underdogs, Michael Johnson, the weirdest looking right hand that is somehow also super clean in MMA history, taking on the British grappler to end all British wrestlers, D1 Casey. Shaun?
Yeah, D1 Casey, I didn't see that coming when he started out in the UFC, but I mean, to be fair, he's used it to great effect when his striking game is not up to par against the guy he's fighting. I like him in this fight. It's like minus 300 at the cheapest, like minus 320, minus 340. That does seem a bit high, but Daikisi can probably wrestle, and his striking is pretty damn good. Every once in a while, Johnson, shows up and throws, and his hands look great. I don't know if we'll get that here. I think he'll be a little bit worried about the takedown. That might freeze him. There's a lot of chalk on this card. It's dodging the bad chalk and somehow finding the good chalk. This might be the good chalk. I haven't decided if I'm going to chalk this one up and put it in the parlay.
Wesley?
Yeah, I'm right there too. I do think this is some good chalk here though. I think you're gonna get another safer performance out of OD1 Kesey here. Michael Johnson will probably fight off a few takedowns and stuff, and I mean, I'm not. Daikisi can still bang on the feet, man. Like that dude's got some striking. He's got some hands, got some big power. Like it wouldn't shock me whatsoever if he catches Michael Johnson with something and lays him out off of some takedown attempts and shit, and Johnson stuffing them. But I do think he's gonna eventually get some takedowns here, and this might get kind of boring. How he does it here lately. Either which way. I like Daikisi all around here. I think he's the better guy at this point. I mean, Michael Johnson pulled one off a couple back. Had some. I think we got some decent plus money on him against Alan Patrick there, and then he just, man, if Jamie Malarkey can go out there and put it on him like that, like Daikisi's gonna go out there and put it on him, man. I'll be trying to parlay with something. The over 2.5 here is like minus 225. Daikisi by decision. You're getting a plus 110 at Betway. It's not widely open everywhere. Daikisi had some plus money by decision with an over sitting at a price like that, and him sitting at minus 350. Probably not a bad spot to try to get involved with, but I'll probably have him parlayed with some other chalk on her. I think there's a lot of good chalk on her, but it's like Shaun said, you gotta dodge the bad shit because there'll absolutely be one or two that goes down. It's gonna happen. But I like Daikisi quite a bit here.
Yeah, I'm thinking that the British wrestler is safe. The immortal last words of my betting year, but I'm probably gonna have to put him in something. I mean, you look at the best case scenario for Johnson in this one, and he has a big moment. But Daikisi's got a good chin. He's gonna fight through that, and he's probably gonna that's probably gonna encourage him to go for more takedowns if something like that happens. So I think this matchup plays out really well for him. I mean, we saw it in Johnson's last fight. He had some moments against Jamie Malarkey and couldn't sustain them. I mean, he hasn't sustained a performance since, I don't know, Barbosa. Was like the only time in his career that he's had like a good, consistent 15-minute performance. It's just not the type of fighter he is. So I like Daikisi probably by decision just because it's Daikisi. But man, if Johnson in the second or third round decides to just give something away, that can't shock you. So I think this might just end up being a parlay leg for me, which don't love, but I think I kind of have to. Lightweight division, and I hope I'm going in the right order. I'm just going by Tapology. I'm sure they've changed it a million times, and they'll change it a million more before Saturday. Lightweight division, the Carpenter is back, just carving more wood. He looks like one of the dudes I ran into out on the West Coast.
Guaranteed. Guaranteed.
He's taking on the hot sauce man, Scott Holtzman. Nashville's finest semi-professional hockey player, Shaun.
Oh, did he play hockey? I've never heard that before. Yeah, it's a bit concerning if you're backing Holtzman. He is coming off of those two finishes. Now, obviously, that was a decent amount of time ago, and it was against pretty damn good fighters. So, hopefully, he's been resting up and taking care of that brain of his. I think he's got decent enough wrestling to make Clay work. Clay's wrestling is not what it once was, that's for sure. I think Holtzman's good enough on the feet, and I think he's got a chance at putting old Clay out. That chin is just sitting there to be cracked, and some guys have done it somewhat recently. Santos couldn't finish the job, even though he was absolutely raining down fucking blows. I think Holtzman has more power. He can get him out there. So Holtzman by TKO is like plus 500. I think that might be worth a small stab. I think he wins regardless.
Wes, are we down in some hot sauce this weekend?
Yeah, I like him in this spot. It's a little more shaky for me here. I think he's got the better wrestling, and he's not gonna completely gas like some other dudes have, and giving Clay some opportunity to stay in some fights. I think Holtzman can keep up with Clay's early pace and then keep going in the second and third round. I do like him here, but I don't know. There's just something that feels funny about this one. It's like Elkins, man. Clay Guida, he ain't Elkins even at this point, but it wouldn't shock me if he pulled off something dumb on Holtzman. I do kind of lean Shaun with that KO at plus 500. Guida's just completely shot, man. If you can get that chin good, you can get him out of there. Holtzman's got some really good power. I don't know, man. Something's just telling me that this is going to get kind of grindy and shit. And scrambly, and we've seen Clay in those kind of fights recently when he should have no chance. The dude stays around somehow, and then pulls off. The dude's pulled off more fucking terrible decisions over the past decade. I mean, there's just something funny about this fight to me. But I do like Holtzman here. I think Holtzman connects with something. Probably in the second or third round. Clay would be really good and bouncy and doing his dumb shit for a round, and then he'll start to slow down and Holtzman will get him. The TKO plus 500 is a nice little spot. I might just sprinkle that and call it.
I'm sure Shaun remembers Guido's decision over Nate Diaz. That was a fun one. Shaun was just a little gaffer when that fight happened.
The fucking worst.
But yeah, he's had some throughout the years. Yeah, I just think he's done at this point. I mean, he lost to Puelles last time out, and that dude is hilariously bad. Lost a decision to Madsen, and we saw what his cardio looked like last time out.
Very true.
His recent wins are Santos absolutely murdering him and then having a heart attack in the middle of the ring, and Michael Johnson. Those are the dudes that he's beat, who are still live bodies in the last 5 years. It's not a good scene. I know that Holtzman's had a couple rough ones his last couple times out, but he's fighting guys who are very good right now. So I like Holtzman here. I think that even if his wrestling isn't good enough to stop Guida from getting the occasional takedown, he's just so much of a better athlete that he's going to be able to win some scrambles and get back to his feet and just sort of knock Guida up on the feet. I don't know if I want to bet him though. That's a little sketchy. Anyway, strawweight division: Angela Hill, Emily Ducati. Shaun?
Bit confused about this fight. Does Ducati have some hype or something like that? Like, first of all, I don't even know why this fight's happening. Like, I know...
I can say that about 4 or 5 fights every card, Shaun.
That's fair. In this particular instance, like, Hill, she's got some losses, but those are against fairly elite fighters. I thought that was a pretty good win against Godinez. She was an underdog in that fight, and then she's fighting Emily Ducati and is an underdog to Emily Ducati.
Didn't you see how she boxed up Jessica Penne last time?
I know.
Out?
That's an elite striking win right there. Yeah, I'm surprised by this. I'm going to have to play Angela Hill. This might end up being a close striking fight. I'll take the more known commodity that throws a lot of volume and is actually kind of upping her grappling game. Whether she can implement that, I don't know, but it's at least another trick in the bag. So I like Hill here.
Here's what it is with Ducati: is there was that one fight in Invicta.
That's it.
Where
that kick, wasn't it?
No. Okay, there was the kick, but then the fight after that, she was like a minus 1,500 favorite, and all of MMA Twitter ended up betting her opponent at like plus 900.
Yeah.
Is that Zappatella?
Yeah, so people actually like tuned in and watched that fight, and the chick she was fighting was like 4'2", and she absolutely destroyed her, and she was like crying in the middle of the fight. So people think that Ducati's some sort of badass now, and now she's a favorite against like actual good fighters. So take advantage of it. I don't know if I'm actually going to bet it, but definitely Angela Hill in Toutmaster. Wes, what do you got on this one?
Yeah, I remember that night pretty good now. That was a whole evening of the DM. It was pretty good. It was a pretty good night. In any other, Invicta fight card, we wouldn't have been saying shit about it. One bet changes a lot of things. Yeah, I think it's more to that kick on Danielle Taylor, where she laid her out and it made the rounds on social media and shit like that. I think people remember that. Look, this is going to be a kickboxing match, more than likely. And one chick comes forward and throws a lot of punches and shit. A lot of them don't connect, but she throws them, and she'll be coming forward. I think Angela Hill as a dog here is kind of crazy to me. Something I'm going to have to bet. I don't love it. It's still really low. This is considered high level women's MMA, but this is low skill level MMA, man. So you never know. They're going to probably throw like 150 strikes a piece, and like 10 are going to land. But you can't tell which ones are which. So Angela Hill as a dog's just kind of crazy. So small bet.
Either fighter to win by split or majority decision.
There it is.
Plus 350.
Yep.
There it is.
It's got to be. It's got to be. All right, moving on to still not the main card. We're almost there, folks. Almost there. Welterweight division, Nico Price taking on Phil Rowe. This should be a interesting kind of weird car crash that happens. Shaun?
Yeah, there should be some violence. Both these guys. I mean, Nico Price has calmed it down a little bit from his heyday. He tries to be a little bit smarter in there, but I think Phil Rowe can kind of draw that out of him. Rowe's got good power. Nico Price has taken a good amount of damage throughout his career. I thought he didn't look amazing against the ghost of Cowboy. I think Rowe's got a shot at cracking that chin. Rowe inside the distance, like plus 200, right around there. That might be worth a shot. I think it's gonna be a fun fight, and it's gonna be close if it turns into a brawl.
I think even that might be getting to my threshold of just play the money line instead of the inside, but
Yep.
Who knows? Maybe I'm just getting old and soft. Wes, what do you got here?
Yeah, I think this should be a pretty fun fight. Shaun's right that Nico has kind of he's tightened it up a little bit here lately. He can be drawn into some stuff. I think Rowe's going to draw him into some stuff here. I think they're going to end up throwing down in small in spots in this fight. And man, I mean, Nico's getting a little old, man. That dude's he's taking some beatings. I think Phil Rowe hits like a truck. He's the younger, fresher guy. Going to be the bigger, stronger guy in this fight. I mean, TKO is like plus 350 inside the distance, plus 200. I mean, him just money line. This is one of the dogs on this card that I like quite a bit. So, yeah, I'm on Phil Rowe, man. I think he can. I think he can get Nico Price out of there. I think he's going to land something big, and he's gonna cash a ticket.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards Rowe as well, but I don't know if I can bet it. If Price comes out and he actually tries to grapple, I think he can have some success there. Witt was able to have a bunch, and then he got breathed on, and we know what happens to that dude when somebody touches him. I don't feel great about this one. I guess I think the price is kind of backwards, and Rowe should be a little favorite. But this is also the best guy that he's fought by a decent margin. It's just the best guy that he's fought who seems like he's on a bit of the backside of his career just because the way that he fights. So I guess Rowe, don't feel great about it though. Middleweight division. Eric Anders, yo boy, taking on the medium Dukakis. It's been a rough year for the Dukakises. Failing votes everywhere. Can't get the whole caucus together. Shaun, what's happening here?
Eric Anders is terrible, and he also doesn't really do anything. he had like over 4 minutes of control time against Park last time, and he landed 0 ground strikes in 4 minutes. I think the medium Dukakis has good enough defensive wrestling and to stuff any takedowns and unders throws or goes for. I think he can probably get unders down. And unders stand-up is pretty terrible. The Dukakis isn't great, but I think it's good enough. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to lay the juice. It's a bit much. Anders is terrible, but I also didn't see Dolidze just absolutely cleaning his clock last time.
I don't think a lot of people did. Wes?
I don't know. I personally think you're getting a pretty good price on Dukakis in this spot. I think Anders, not only is he just not as anywhere near as good as we ever thought he was going to be, but he's shot at this point. That dude is absolutely shot. That dude has taken some hellacious beatings over the past 5 years or so. It's incredible. And now it's like Shaun just talked about, even when he goes to his strengths and gets a dude down and has all that top control, he can't throw. He just literally, then get him out of the first round and he gets fucking gassy now. If he does get a takedown, he'll just lay on you and try to just fucking get his win back. I think Dukakis can put on a really good performance here and get his stock back up a little bit. And man, it just minus 200 here. I think it's a pretty good parlay piece. It's another safe one for me. I like Dukakis in this spot.
I think I'm biased when it comes to Eric Anders fights because I only remember the ones where he gets finished or just like the absolute shit beaten out of him. Because when he's winning, it's because nothing is happening. So it's hard to remember him actually doing well in fights. That said, I think if this gets into the clinch and he is able to hold him up against the cage and maybe get some takedowns, that he's probably physically strong enough to do that to medium Dukakis. We're not talking about big Dukakis here. This is just a little medium Dukakis. Extra medium Dukakis, maybe. So I think that Anders can slow this one down and make it grindy and ugly. So I'm going to stay away from Dukakis in this spot. But, man, it is tempting to fade Anders at any possible opportunity. And you're not getting a terrible price, minus 200 on Dukakis here. I'm not going to blame anybody that takes that. I'm just going to stay away from it personally. What's the over here? The over's got to be pretty high, right? Yeah, minus 175 for over 2.5. That's a little bit out of my range as well. So I don't think I'll be playing anything in this one, but we'll see what happens on Saturday night. Moving on up. This is where things start to get good. The rest of this card is pretty damn fun. Middleweight division again. We've got Jack Hermansson taking on Mr. Doolittle, who has done a lot lately. Shaun, we need to think of a new nickname for him.
I know. He was Doolittle after that Staropoli fight where he just did absolutely nothing. And then
he Staropoli'd at him.
And then obviously he came out with 2 first-round knockouts and looked like I don't know, just an absolute monster. Yeah, that Staropoli fight, that Giles fight, I know it was on short notice. It's kind of like I'm not sold on this guy. He's done what he's done. He's crushed a couple of guys, and that's super impressive. I don't know if he's going to be able to do that against Hermansson. I don't think he's going to have much success grappling Hermansson. And Hermansson just fought a very good striker last time, was able to implement a game plan, stick to it. It seems like his striking has improved quite a bit in the last couple of years. We're in a bigger cage. I think he might be able to stick and move on Dolidze. So I'm steering clear. Dolidze has crazy power. Maybe he gets him out of there. Maybe he tires Hermansson out. I'm just staying away. The pick's Hermansson by volume, boring striking.
You need to listen to more of our boy Aaron Bronstetter's podcast, because he's got the correct pronunciation of Jack Hermansson.
Hermansson?
Yeah, Hermansson. He's like, he's not Herman's son. He's Michael Jordan's son, actually. It's the Airman. It's his son.
Airman.
Yeah, there you go. Wes, what's going on here?
Yeah, I get what Shaun is saying about his fight against Chris Curtis when his striking did look a whole lot better. We do got to say though that Chris Curtis looked like absolute shit in that fight. I'm not sure what was wrong with him, but
he was fighting Jack Hermansson.
It didn't look terrible against Strickland the fight before either.
Yeah, Strickland's just I know
he's a weirdo. I don't know.
The difference here too for me is the power that I'm still worried about Hermansson's fucking chin a little bit. And look, I do think he's absolutely the better grappler. And we had seen Delici. He's been on the mat a little bit. Guys have been able to get a couple takedowns on him. But man, just on the feet, dude, like he's gonna be a massive guy in this cage. He's a huge dude at this weight class. Hits like a truck. Man, at a dog price, it's something I'm probably gonna have to take a small shot on. I do think Hermansson is the better guy here. I'm just thinking that he might like that newfound decent striking he's got and want to try to stay on the feet and play around a little too much against this guy, and he could get caught. So, KO is plus 500. I'll probably take a small little piece of that and a small bet on Delici as a dog here, but it's not something that I absolutely love. It's these dog shots on this card for me are just, they're okay. It's just the one I like a little bit.
All right, listeners, I took you on a ride because he's gonna be Doolittle again. We're circling all the way back, circling the wagons, and Shaun's right. The Hermansson's gonna dance around the outside. He's gonna throw a lot of body kicks. The fact that Dolidze's success on the feet has come a lot from the clinch is going to discourage him more from engaging and getting into those grappling exchanges. But if he does, he's got the leg lock game to avoid the knee bars and all that shit that Doolittle likes to do. And I think that Doolittle's willing to accept being on his back. We've seen that a little bit. And I think that if they do get into grappling exchanges, Hermansson is going to be more than happy to secure that top position and ride out some rounds. So I think that he's going to be the one that I end up putting with D1 Casey. We're going to get two guys who have the ability to kick from the outside or get top control, and it fits. It feels right. So we're going with Hermansson to get a decision in this spot. Heavyweight division, big boys. Unfortunately, I don't think I'm going fatties in this one.
It's plus 200 at dimes. I have not seen one of those in a while.
And you can't even do it. You can't even do it.
Is it that close anywhere else? Because dimes doesn't exist in Canada for me right now.
It's plus 185 at Bet Online.
Yeah, 175, 185.
Okay. Yeah, well, if it balloons, we'll see. But we got Tai Tuivasa taking on Sergey Pavlovich, and Shaun, is there a boring Russian hidden under all of those steroids and muscles, or no? Not here,
I don't
at least.
think so. He's got 16 wins and 13 of them are by first round, so he is not part of that crew. He could get Tuivasa out of there in the first. Tuivasa can take an ass whooping. He's never been finished in the first round. It's kind of always built up. Second round, third round sometimes. So I don't know what Pavlovich is going to look like in the second or third round, so that might make it a little tougher. Pavlovich in round 2, like plus 600. I guess that's not terrible considering the durability of Tuivasa. I think Pavlovich is going to get him down and smash him, and I think that is going to be the difference. If it was just a striking fight, I think Tuivasa can take some damage. With Pavlovich on top, I think he can take him down and smash him on the ground. Tuivasa might not get hurt. He might just get, just cover up and get a mercy stoppage. So I think Pavlovich wins. I don't like it enough to play it at minus 200. Tuivasa still has big power. It's heavyweights, man. I try to steer clear.
Wesley.
Yeah, I'm with Shaun on this one. I think Pavlovich can take Tuivasa down and go to work here. Pavlovich he's not horrible, man.
He's good.
I've just watched Tuivasa get cracked by like everybody. Like that dude's
literally.
He's been cracked and hurt by so many people. I just don't see Pavlovich stepping into something stupid like these other dudes do and end up getting finished by him after they beat his ass. Pavlovich is going to take this guy down and smash him. I'm with Shaun also, though. Like, Tuivasa is nuts. Can take a beating and hits like a truck. So, do I want to lay minus 200 with Pavlovich here? No, probably not. Pavlovich by KO is like minus 130. I don't have my bet online account open, but on Best Fight Odds, it says Pavlovich round 1 is plus 175. If that price is right, I'll probably take some of that. Pavlovich round 1 plus 175.
So just a question, because I'm not into this sort of stuff, but how many takedowns does Pavlovich have in his UFC career?
None.
I don't know.
Yes,
is it none?
I think
none.
he's got
He's
got like 1 or 2 right now. He's got a.
It is 0.
Right? Is it?
It is 0, and he has shot 0 takedowns.
He shot 2 against Overeem. I'll give you that.
Oh, sorry, yes, Overeem. Yeah, I didn't even look at that one.
The guy who out wrestled him and ground and pounded him by the end of the first round.
If he can say fuck takedowns and go haymakers with Black Beast, I'm fine with him doing that here against Tuivasa.
That's fair as well.
Yeah, that's very fair, and that's really what's keeping me away from going fatties here, because I think both of these guys are going to have success on the feet. Pavlovich, because he is way more athletic, is probably going to have success first, but he is facing a guy that Black Beast used to be able to do this. He's not built for it anymore. He's not going to take the damage and come back at you. He's going to fold when it starts to add up against him. Tuivasa is not going to do that. Tuivasa is going to throw shit back at this guy, and we're going to see if Pavlovich has what it takes. And I think that somewhere in there, Tuivasa is going to land something that does a whole lot more to Pavlovich than what he's getting hit with. Just because we've seen that a bunch of times against better guys. So I'm going to take Tuivasa. I think that it's going to be a knockout because he doesn't really win in any other way. But because the knockout's only like 60 cents more than the money line, we're going for a Munich. Crikey, it's a Munich on an Aussie. Plus 185. Lance and I are locking that down for Tai Tuivasa. Hopefully he doesn't do any of the disgusting, uncultured swine drinking after the fight. But I'm going to bet on him anyway. Plus 185 at Bet Online. That is going to be Munich this week. Love it. Love this, too. Flyweight division. Best fight on the card. By far. Mateus Nicolau taking on Matt Danger Schnell. The danger. The damage and the danger, Shaun. Incredible. We should be so lucky as MMA fans. What's going on here?
We are that lucky this Saturday. It is plus 175 at BetOnline website.
Oh,
So-
it moved. God damn it! I'm
No,
sorry,
no.
folks.
No, that's
round
for-
one. Pavlovich is plus
Yeah.
175.
Oh
Your
no, that
Munich
doesn't
is
matter. That
plus
one's that's not gonna win. Munich plus 185. Book it.
Yeah, this is gonna be a fun one. Matt Schnell kind of forces that. He likes to get in there, and he did the thing last time. It got pretty scary in there for him. I know Nicolau has like one finish, and I think what does he add, like 8, 9 UFC fights?
It's been a few.
Yeah, he's got good. I feel like he's got good skills. He's got good offense. I think Schnell is gonna force him to throw and scramble and just force a high paced action fight, and that is gonna produce a finish, I believe. Either more likely is Nicolau's gonna get Danger Schnell out of there, but you can never really count out Schnell. He's snatched some victories in the jaws of defeat a couple times. So under 2.5, so like plus money. I'll be taking some of that.
Wesley.
Yeah, I think this could be a little bit of a coming out party for Nicolau. I think that he's got all the skill in the world. He's 29 now. I think what Shaun says is like his 8th or 9th UFC fight at this point. Pretty big name here. I think the kid's got all the skill in the world. He's just been kind of boring. He's been one of those point fighters and stuff. You see it a lot, down at these weight classes. But he's in there against a guy that just is not gonna let him fight that type of fight. And I think that's gonna probably bring out the best in his game that we've seen. And I think that under is a great spot here. Schnell has historically been a great under fighter that you can bet on, and he went on a little stretch to where he got very safe and was trying to win fights in the UFC, and they ended up just being boring, close decision losses for him. So he got back to that style that he gets back, two back. How can you fight any other way against fucking Raw Dog? I mean, what kind of fight that's going to be. But, his last fight, he's back to just going for shit. I think he's going to put Nicolau in that kind of fight, and I think we're going to see the best of Nicolau. And I think that kid gets a finish in this spot. But also, like Shaun said, like Schnell can snatch a sub from just about any point in a fight. So at plus money on that under, I like that quite a bit. And I like Nicolau in this fight. I think he's going to show. All the skill that he's got.
I think Nicolau went through kind of some of the same stuff that Schnell went through in his last couple fights, where he got bonked a few times and he was like, oh shit, I need to fight a bit safer.
Yeah.
And now he's facing that guy that's going to bring the fight out of him regardless of if he wants to fight safe or not. And Schnell has been a great fighter for finishes and making exciting fights going back to his time on the regional scene. And he's an equal opportunity get finisher. He will get knocked out or he will get subbed. Nicolau will get knocked out. I think that somebody in this spot is getting finished. So I love that under at even money or plus money. I am going to take some Schnell, though. Some Schnell inside the distance. I think plus 650 is out there. And I think that's kind of crazy because Nicolau has been clipped and finished on a few occasions. And I think that this fight is lined a little too wide to begin with. Add an extra $3 on top of the money line. And I think I'm going to have to take a shot on that plus 650. So Matt Danger Schnell, but mostly the under. And I think we decided it's going to be the consensus bet of the week. Under 2.5 in the Danger against Matheus Nicolau. Hopefully he does bring it and makes us all happy. Co-main event up next. Welterweight division. Rafael dos Anjos taking on Brian Barberena. Bam Bam. There's 2 Bam Bams on this card, aren't there? Wow,
Yep.
that's got to be a record. Where UFC is just setting new records out here, folks. Incredible. First card with 2 Bam Bams on it in organizational history. Gotta love it. Shaun, how many times is Rafael dos Anjos going to take this poor schmuck with no back down?
A lot. Sadly, beating the shit out of Robbie Lawler doesn't get you any. Doesn't get us a better price. Yeah, it doesn't get us a better price on RDA in the following fight. That number's huge. It's warranted. I'm just not going to play it. It doesn't really do too much to parlays. I think RDA, in kind of any aspect, he can take him down, smash him on the ground. I think he can beat him up on the feet. It should be all RDA. Yeah, kind of unplayable. Him inside the distance is like plus 175. I don't even like. I guess if he gets him down a bunch and smashes him on the ground, then he probably gets him out of there. But that's still not.
I could see an arm triangle.
Okay. Yeah. I could see some grappling. So I don't know. Maybe I'll convince myself to play inside the distance. But other than that, it is what it is.
Wesley.
Yeah, this is this isn't even competitive, man. I don't know what we're doing here, what RDA is doing fighting this guy. I got no idea. It's a waste of a fight for RDA. I put RDA in a few things over the past week, 10 days myself. I mean, he's gonna win this fight. I don't see any path for Barberena, like none. I don't even see like a flash KO for Barberena in this fight. I just can't see it. I want to bet inside the distance too, but RDA just isn't like, he's not mean enough to, I don't think, to finish a guy like Barberena. Like it would have to be a sub. It would have to be. I don't see RDA like getting Barberena down and landing enough like vicious ground and pound to get Barberena. He just doesn't do guys like that. I think it's just his mentality. He's not really in there to like hurt some poor schmuck, and that's what this is going to be, man. Like RDA does what he wants in this fight. I'm not sure he gets a finish, but he probably does. So plus 175 is kind of on that borderline of maybe worth a sprinkle, but I got RDA money line at around minus 400 myself and a few things from a week ago. The line's just getting kind of crazy at this point. Like Shaun said, I'm not sure how much a minus 550 does for your parlay, but if you got something that needs a third to get it at plus money, I do not see how RDA loses this fight.
Yeah, for me, this just seems like the type of spot where I'm going to throw RDA sub in some sort of dumb round robin,
Yep.
And there's not really a whole lot more that I want to have invested in this fight. It's mismatch. Anytime that Barberena starts having any success on the feet, which I think will be very few times in this fight to begin with, RDA is just going to take him down. So he's not, imagine being an unathletic 3-round grinder who's faced guys outside of the top 15 for your entire career.
Go get started, yeah.
Now you're facing a guy who fights 5 rounds every time and is better at you better at everything than you. Like,
and can be the ultimate grinder himself. Like you're not.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is like one of the worst matchups you could ever imagine.
So I don't know. Maybe after all of that, RDA is worth throwing in parlays because what's the worst that could happen? Anyway, main event. It's all right. It'll make me tune in after RDA gets done with whatever he does. But we got Kevin Holland taking his 700th fight in the past 2 years, as the UFC will not let us forget. and he's taking on Wonderbread. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what to expect from this one. I don't feel like I have the greatest read on it, Shaun. Tell me what to think.
I'm a bit surprised by this line and the line movement. This was close to a pick 'em at one point, and now you can get Wonder Bread at like plus 140 at Bet Online. This is a big cage. You know, Wonder Bread's been showing some age, but that's against really, really good grapplers. I don't think Holland is that good. Yeah, he gets some takedowns. He's got some scrambles, but his offensive wrestling is not up to the point that it needs to be, in my opinion, to take down Wonder Bread, even at this point in his career. So to me, this is going to be a striking fight in a big cage. Holland could land something big. Pettis did, but generally, I think Wonderboy is going to point fight the shit out of Holland. So at plus 140, I put 2.5 units on it.
Wesley, 2.5.
Ooh.
Okay, sorry, Wes.
Yeah, Shaun hit on some important points here. Big cage plays a lot, and I think any Wonderboy fight at this point, the opponents that he's gone against his past couple of fights, I don't think Holland measures up close to their level of offensive wrestling and being able to get takedowns. I'm just still not. I'm not sold on Holland, man. I don't. There's just something about him. I like it. I like his his guts. I hope he got fucking paid a bag last time for taking that beating from Cumshot. Props to him. But just because you're pushed by the UFC and you get 1,700 fights in the past 2 years, and you're known on social media, doesn't make you the level of fighter that Stephen Thompson is. And I just don't think Holland is, man, even at this stage of Wonderboy's career. Big cage. I think it's a mostly kickboxing match. I mean, Stephen Thompson at plus money in a spot like that, like, I got to take some of that as well as a dog. And the over 2.5 is like minus 138 at Betway. If that gets released widely everywhere else, 2.5, I'll probably take a little bit of the over as well. Unless Holland lands something huge or Wonderboy lands a spinning kick or some shit like that, this fight's going probably 25 minutes of a lot of pity pat fucking leg kicks and shit like that. So 2.5 at minus 138. That's a pretty good look as well, in my opinion. So small shot on Thompson as a dog, and I like over 2.5 quite a bit.
You talked me into it, boys. It's going to be Thompson. Maybe it was Thompson all along. Who knows? I like to keep the folks on their toes. But Holland has had, 12, 13 fights in the UFC over the past 2-ish years. He's kept a very busy schedule, but in that time, like, his wins are all reliant on guys that are just willing to collide with him. Tim Means is too slow to get out of the way of anybody these days. Howboy has 3 minutes in him, and then he's done. Jacare, we all remember how that went. And then before that, the guys that he faced were really, really not good. I would have loved, in retrospect, knowing what we know about Fluffy now. Imagine if that fight went past literally the first exchange that they had. Holland would have been in hell. That would have been awful for him. And I think that Holland is going to go to exchange in this fight, and Wonderbread's just not going to be there. Somebody took him out of the pantry, moved him. Maybe he was getting close to the expiration date, so they threw him in the freezer. But Holland's not going to be able to find him. It's going to be tough. I like that over 2.5. I hope that gets released more places. I think if you get to over 3.5, that's when it starts to get to plus money. Yep. And yeah, even Bet Online goes to decision at plus 170, I think. Last time I checked. I think that has a very realistic shot as well. So I'll take Wonderbread to get a decision. I think it's a lot of Holland trying to find him and him making Holland miss and landing a little bit of stuff from the outside. Big step up in terms of the quality of striker for Kevin Holland. And I don't know, I haven't seen it out of him. He's looked good in his last couple fights. He looked really good against Tim Means, but that's not the same type of striker that Wonderbread is. So Steven Thompson, going to have a little play on him. Not 2.5 units. My goodness. Are you rich or something?
Oh,
holy.
Big time.
Yeah, and that's going to do it for us this week. Next week, are we back next week?
Yeah, fraudulent.
Do we have to be back next week? I mean,
God.
I can't believe somebody broke into the garage and stole the opener, and Glover's just sitting there in his rocking chair, doesn't know what's going on, and he's pissed. And it's terrible. UFC sucks.
It sucks so bad. Hey, props to Yuri though for like, here, take this shit. Like, I'm not gonna hold this up. Like, they're gonna rob me of it anyway. Like, they're gonna take my belt. Like, let me just give it. Dude, doing Glover like that though is just.
You know what he should have done is he should have showed up to fight with one arm like that hero TJ Dillashaw, get his payday, let Glover beat the shit out of him to get his belt back. We all have fun and make a bunch of money, and Glover gets to retire on top.
Yeah, money goes a lot further over there in Europe these days. Apparently, when you're not, gotta get that gear.
He got like 20,000 from Reebok last fight. That's like 3 years living expenses in Czechoslovakia.
I mean, when you're chopping your own trees and building your own cabins, money goes a ways.
It does.
But now we get the banger that is Ankalaev, and we get the run of Ankalaev now.
So what's gonna do more pay-per-view buys? UFC 282 or the PFL card from last weekend?
Could you imagine if that's anywhere into like 4 digits? Like, would that shock you if the PFL card did more than like 4 digits of pay-per-view sales?
Jeez.
Man.
Even just for the $6 million that they paid out for the tournaments, somebody said that they would have had to make or had to sell 120,000 pay-per-views to break even. No chance. And I'm not even sure that accounted for like the 50% that the pay-per-view company gets. So it might have been double that.
Yikes.
I mean, I want this guy's got some good connection in the getting. I wonder what he's paid for his money laundering. Like he's got to be like set, because now he's out there today like offering $3 million for Cyborg to fight Harrison again after she gets her ass beat. I'm like, this dude is like, fuck. It's almost like some Better Call Saul shit. And this dude is not laundering enough money for these motherfuckers. Like, I give $3 million.
Get rid of it quick enough.
He can't give it away fast enough, bro. I'm telling you.
You can't get caught with that in the accounts. I mean, you gotta cycle it through. Anyway, but that's an interesting thing that happened, and sucks for Glover, and it's hilarious for the PFL. And all of those things are true. That's going to do it for us this week. We'll be back next week to talk about Shaun and Ankalaev main eventing a pay-per-view. Until then,
with Jared Gordon in the co-main event.
Shaun, now nobody's going to tune. I'm sure we've got millions of people still listening right now, and none of them are going to tune in next week because of that one comment. But we'll see you next week, folks. Appreciate you listening. As always, go check out The Hammer Tons of content there, a bunch of stuff for the World Cup and everything that's going on right now. And lacrosse starts this weekend, folks. It's a great time to be alive.
Yes.
We'll see you next week.